Hi there, Kimberly Flanagan of Kimberly's Quilts. I'm a former Handi Quilter national educator, and I teach privately at local quilt shops, as well as a monthly Zoom meet session. One of my students recently asked me, could I put some videos together that started at the basics about the navigation within Pro Stitcher, that she felt like there were so many things about the basic navigation that she either never learned or was unclear about. So she wanted a little, what she said, refresher that she could go back to when she had questions. So I'm in the process of putting together a series of navigational YouTube videos, and it's all about just the basics around the navigation of Pro Stitcher and how to get the most out of your system. I'm going to share my screen here because I'm in simulation on my laptop. I am going to share my screen here so you can follow along and see what I'm doing so that you can visually understand what's happening. Okay. The first thing we have to keep in mind when we talk about navigation in Pro Stitcher is some of what I call the foundations. First, when we speak about the navigation, these right here is what will be called your tabs. As you navigate through them, you have various options. If we start here, under the tabs, we have what we call the ribbon. Notice in the ribbon a few things. As I move through my tabs, what is in my ribbons will change. File tab, I have design, workspace, area, save, close, clear all, update, and shut down. Edit, they now change to my edit features. You can see now that they're grayed out. We'll get to that in a minute. Area, oh, as well, we have some various options here, some grayed out, some not. Modify, but as we travel through each of these tabs, you'll see that our ribbon changes. With those changes, our functionality changes. We also have what we call the right sidebar over in this area, that as we do different things, you'll see this area will change. And then we have the left sidebar. This is a customizable sidebar, and I have a separate video on how to customize your sidebar here and make these icons what you want them to be. But this is your left sidebar. And then we have right here what I call, it doesn't have a formal name in Pro Stitcher, but I call this kind of like home base. In here, you'll see that these are our grouping tools, and we'll get to that later. Here's some status information if you're connected to your Pro Stitcher tablet and your carriage and everything's engaged. I'm on simulation, so right now they're not really useful. You also have here several grayed out icons. We have this, which we will also often call either our home button or our refresh button. You will be able to see how we put that to use when we have a design active. We also have here a centering button, which will center everything that's on your workspace. And then we also have a magnifying slider here. As you can see, it will bring things either further in or further out. I also have little buttons that if I do not want to use the slider and I just want to use those, that will do the magnifying as well. I have visible right now these slide bars, which can be turned off, and we will get that one to that when we get under the view tab. But I like to have mine turned on, and that's just 100% personal preference. You may not like seeing these, so you will learn in the video under view how to turn those on and off. So let's get into the file tab. If you see here, one of the common things across all of the tabs and all of the ribbons is you will sometimes encounter icons that are dark and you can actually use those, or they're grayed out like the save, close, and clear all feature. Those should be little clues to you as you're navigating Pro Stitcher. If they are grayed out, like these three are right now, or our undo and redo buttons over here, drag and drop baseline, if they are grayed out, that means that is not an active option for what is on your workspace. Anything on your screen here is what is considered your workspace. You can have areas, you can have designs. You can only have one area at a time. However, you can have multiple designs. And I'll show you what I mean by that as we get into this a little bit further. So with that in mind, I currently cannot save, close, or clear anything because I do not have anything active on my workspace, this being my workspace. But as soon as I open a design, and we can come in here and let's just get a basic block, and you'll notice that as soon as I open this, these icons are now valid options because I can now save this, close it, or clear all. So with that basic navigation in mind, let's start walking through the various options within the File ribbon. File tab, these are your ribbon options. If we start at the far left, the first one, and probably one that you're most comfortable with if you've already been using your Pro Stitcher, that's where we find our design files. We can come in here and we can open this up, and this is where we will locate any of our designs. They are alphabetical by designer. We also have them broken down in various ways. This is also very customizable. I have a separate video on how you can organize your files over here. I am not a fan of reorganizing what comes by default with Pro Stitcher, but you can add file folders and move things around if you would like, and there are some things that I do. So you should be very familiar with how to select a design, and if you want to get into more about file organization, check out my video that I have on that. So we've already opened a design. We also can do the same as a workspace. I already alluded to the fact that anything on this screen and on your Pro Stitcher screen is your workspace. So I can come in here, say I'm doing some custom quilting, and I'm going to open multiple designs. And I'm also going to use this design over here in my custom work. So I now have 3 designs on my workspace. I can save it. We'll get to that in a minute. And then I can come over here and I can later reopen any of those saved workspaces that I have. As you can see, I have several here from other classes that I've taught, and I don't have to re-pull in every one of those designs individually and reline things up. I can save my entire workspace and call it in at a later date. Just to show you, I'm going to clear everything off of here. If I go to my workspace, this is a really fun, cute design, and it's on the Pro Stitcher website. But these are little gift card holders that are made to look like Christmas stockings. So when I set it up, I saved it in my workspace so that I knew I was going to make multiple of these. I could just, instead of having to pull in this design and rotate it and reline everything up, I did it once, saved it as a workspace, and then I can just pull it in using the workspace tab. The next option we have here that works very similar to design and workspace is area. You may not be aware of the fact, but you can actually save areas once you've defined them in the area tab, and then you can pull them up and use them. If you see here under my areas, I have all kinds of different options. So don't be afraid, especially if you're doing custom quilting, to save your area so that you can then actually not have to redefine it. Tell my students a lot, I use this and find this handy when, say, I'm going to be doing some custom quilting around an applique or maybe embroidery, and I want the same shape not stitched over. Say it's a sunbonnet Sue, and I'm going to take a lot of care in creating my sunbonnet Sue using a multi-point area, which there's another video on how to do that. But I can save that area, only create it once, and then pull it in to the various places and align it with the maybe 8, 10, 12 sunbonnet Sues. It's a great time saver if you learn how to save areas and then reopen them. The other reason that I save areas is I have a lot of basic shapes in there that didn't necessarily come with my Pro Stitcher. I have different size circles, I have different size ovals, I have different size squares, I have hearts, I have octagons, I have pentagons, all kinds of different shapes in there that I might want to use. And I can now come in here and use these various shapes for various things. I'm going to open one of these areas just so we can now demonstrate. I now have an area that's open. I can also come in here and I can open several designs. I'm doing this so that we can actually see. My workspace now would be considered having an area and 2 designs on it. So when we move over to the next button on our ribbon, it's Save. When I select Save, you'll see that I have 3 options. I have Save Selected, Save Workspace, or Save Area. What is the difference? Save Selected will save anything that I have active on my workspace. So if I have both of these designs active, it would save both of those and pull them back in. That is how I save multiple of those stockings in a row. How do I know whether they're selected? If I come down here at the lower left and I use my grouping tool, I can turn all of them off. You now see that they're all a light gray. I can either select all of them by hitting the outermost box here, the large one, that creates a group of all of them. Or if I turn them off again, I can select them individually by using this multi-select button in the middle. This multi-select button will select them, but it will also tell Pro Stitcher the order in which I want them stitched out. If I have multiple designs in here, I can say this one and then this one. And it will finish stitching this one out, and then this is a long jump stitch to your next design, and it would stitch this one out. This way I can control the stitching order for multiple designs. Why might you want to do that? What if I'm going to turn this off? I'm going to go in here and I'm going to clear everything out for a minute. What if I go in here and I'm going to open this design? And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to I'm going to move my crosshairs over here and I'm going to open that same design again. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to move my crosshairs over here. And I'm going to open that same design a 3rd time. Now I'm going to come up here and I want that same design here. I'm going to go in and open it again. But wait a minute, I want another one right over here too. So I'm going to come in here and put a fifth one. Now, Pro Stitcher will, by default, stitch these out in the order in which I brought them in and set them up. You'll see here, if I were to go back in this right side tab, you'll see my workspace and all the items in it. I currently have highlighted or active the fifth one I brought in. Or what happens if I group it with the first one? What if I added a third one? See how my stitching order isn't necessarily the right order that I would want them to stitch in for it to be most efficient? I can come in here and by selecting none, it's going to do away with that group. Now I can come in by using this middle button that says multi-select. I can come in here and touch them in the order in which I want them to stitch out. And it will not be as messy when you stitch it out. Now I have a group here as defined in my right sidebar based on how I did this. Now, if I were to go in and say save selected, it's going to save all 5 of these in the order in which I have them grouped, and I will forever be able to retain this as a design. The other thing that I can do is I can save my workspace. It will again save everything on this workspace regardless of whether it's active or not. If I were to come in here and say, only have these 3 active, saving your workspace will still save everything that's on here, whether it's active or not. But the group button comes in very handy when telling the stitching order, as well as helping you set things up one time and being able to save them either as a new design or as a new workspace so that you can pull that in and use it multiple times. What if I have an area, and let's bring our area back in. We now have our area right here. Kind of small compared to everything else on the screen, but let me undo that. I'm going to get that area bigger. Let's say we're going to open our area, and then over here, we are going to make it 12 by 12. Now we've got our pink area, our 2 non-active blocks, and our 3 active blocks. If I come in here and I say save, this is where the biggest difference is in these different save options. I can save the selected, which would only be these 3 dark black designs. It would not save these gray or my area. If I were to say save workspace, it will save everything on here, regardless of whether it's active or not. If I want to save this area, because I've now resized it to 12 inches, I can come in and say save area. And when I do that, I can come in and give this a name. What I would highly advise is that if you were to come in here and do that, then I put the size. Because if I don't put the size, I'm going to overwrite the existing area that has that name. So on my actual tablet upstairs, I will see that I have multiple size hearts and multiple size circles and multiple size squares. And I know which one I want very easily by just looking at the measurement I've included in the name size. Okay. So if we've got moving from left to right, we've now got save. What about close? If I hit close, I have the same three options. I can close the items that are selected. I can close everything on my workspace, or I can close just my area. Let's start with area. So if I hit close area, you'll see that the area has gone away and I haven't deleted it. I've just closed it and it's back into the file manager. If I come in here and I say close selected, I hope you've guessed by now that what it's going to do is it's going to close my 3 active blocks. And my 2 gray ones on my workspace will remain. So if I come in and I hit clear selected, I now only have these 2 gray ones left. If I wanted to close everything that was on my workspace, I could have come in and just hit the close workspace and it would have closed everything that was on here. Okay. As you should see, right now you have these icons are grayed out once again. That's because I have nothing on my workspace. So if I come in here and I pull in the block again, you will now see that I have the clear all is now highlighted. That was going to be my next icon. So I can now come in here and with one quick, say I have multiple designs open. Let me move my crosshair so they're not on top of each other. If I come in here and I open the bird, now I can come over here real quickly, regardless of whether it's active or not, I can just hit clear all and it will quickly clear up everything on my workspace. I often do that because when I'm laying out designs and I'm auditioning designs in various areas, I don't necessarily close them. I sometimes will just move them off to the corner. And next thing you know, I've got 8, 10, 12 designs open. And I don't want to go in and have to close everything nicely. I can just with one click of the button, clear everything up. And it is, I haven't deleted anything. So the design still remains within my design library. So I'm good. Doesn't matter that I close something or if I clear it, if I'm trying to close everything at one time. I hope you're still with me because we've just got a few more to do. The next one is the update button. When I click on this button, it will give me the ability to, when you're at your machine, update your Pro Stitcher. There's complete instructions on the Pro Stitcher webpage on how to update your machine, how to download it if you're not using Connect, or if you're not comfortable having connected to your machine while you're doing an update. You can download the update, and by invoking this update function, it will update your Pro Stitcher to the latest version of whatever you have downloaded. Shutdown. This is how we would close up Pro Stitcher. So we can come down, and what we can do is we have 3 options. If we shut down, it will shut down your tablet, shut down Pro Stitcher, and everything on your tablet will be powered down. That is what you want to do at the end of the day. You just want to give your tablet a break. Don't leave it plugged in overnight, or you're going to go away for 3 or 4 hours. Just shut it down, save your work and shut it down. It's not that difficult to get things restarted. And it just basically gives your laptop or tablet a break. Reboot is if I wanted to reboot my tablet or reboot my laptop and have it start back up, I can choose the reboot option. Clearly, I'm not selecting any of them right now in this video because then this video would abruptly end because my laptop would shut down or reboot. The other options is exit to Windows. If you wanted to exit out of Pro Stitcher and then see the other icons or do something else on your tablet, exiting to Windows will shut down Pro Stitcher without shutting down your tablet or rebooting your tablet. It would simply exit to your desktop. That's all of the icons within your file ribbon. When we talk about our right sidebar within the File tab, there's some very critical information on this side over here on the right that it can give you about what you have on your workspace. If you see here, I have this design open. If I have the Design tab activated, it will tell me the name right here. This is block 15, and it will tell me its current size, the width and the height. I can come in here and I can put my cursor in that box, and it will bring up this little, I call calculator, but it's not really a calculator. I'm not adding anything, but that's what we're going to call it because that's what I call it. I can come in here and I can clear this out and say I know that I exactly want this to be 13 and a half. I can come in here and I can put in the precise measurement of what I want that to be. And it's 13 and a half wide. I also have to come in and make it that tall. So by having the Design tab active, I can see critical information about the size of my design. This becomes important if you want to start resizing your designs, is knowing what size your design is. There's also this little icon down here that says Designer Notes. If you click on it, if there were any special notes that were included with that file, then this is where it would show up. Most designers don't have special notes in there, but sometimes they do. And if you're digitizing your own designs and you've saved designer notes with your designs, that you little reminders to yourself about something about that design, this is where you can see them and activate it. The next thing that you'll see over here on our right sidebar is the area. As you can see, it's grayed out right now. I do not have an active area. So let me go back in here and let's open an area. Let's open our circle. This light pink circle here is my area. You can see right now that it's a 6-inch circle. Just like in the design, I can come in here and I can change this and I can make it a 12-inch circle. That made it an oval because I only did the width. But I'll come in here and if I clear this out and I make it 12 inches, now I have a 12-inch circle. This is how I quickly and easily made areas of the same shape in different sizes. I actually brought in the circle and then I increased the size of the circle in 2-inch increments. And I saved everything between a 2-inch circle and a 14-inch circle, and I have them saved as areas. We also have the option to snap it to your grid, which it's already snapped to the grid. But what that will do is it will snap it to, as you can see here, it's lined up nicely with the grid lines. I can clear it. And the point count is the number of points that are around that area. If I go in and let's open a various areas to let you see that. If I open the circle again, it tells me that there's 93 points. I'm going to clear, I'm going to close the selected so we can zoom in here and only see our area. I have 93 points along this circle. What if I came in here and selected a different area? What if I selected, say, I call these my cartoon shabams is what I've always called them. But I now have a point count of 17. All of your shapes have various point counts in them. And the average person using Pro Stitcher doesn't know or need to know about it. It's basically design points. So let's go back over here and open up a few designs and bring them back in so I can point out the last thing on your right sidebar. I have my designs, which are my bird and my block. Then I have my area, but then the last option here is the workspace. If I click my workspace, you will see that I have 3 items on here: bird fill, block, and then the area. And it's always says in here area. If I were to click on block 15, you will see that just like using my group functions over here, I can create a group. I have now activated and created a group of my bird and my block. I can close that out by coming over here and deleting it using the clear select none button down here at the bottom left. And now I'm just to my individual items. I can click block 15 and now it's my active one. So if you ever want to know what's on your workspace, if you come over to your right side tab, you'll be able to identify all of the items on your workspace by simply clicking on this tab and seeing what's lined up here. I can activate my area, my block 15, and my bird. And now I've created a special group with those items. I hope that helped demystify and explain everything that's on your file tab and your ribbon for your file command. If you have found this helpful, please look for the other videos having to do with edit, area, modify, repeat, as we go through the entire list of them. Thank you.